The history of Maryland lynchings are not known by many. In 1885, a teenager was hung right in front of the old Towson jail after he was accused of assault and rape. Now, historian Jennifer Liles visited grade 8 students at Loch Technical Academy who are taking a juvenile justice class. Working with the Maryland Lynching Memorial Project, who produced a short film, wanted to share their research of his death.
Howard Cooper was lynched at the Towson jail in 1885 after being accused and committed to the jail for the rape and assault of Katie Gray. He and Katie Gray both deny that she was raped by him, but that an assault did occur. He was awaiting his appeal papers to be filed for a Supreme Court appeal for the violation of his 14th Amendment. A mob showed up that had been following him since the beginning of the crime accusation and pulled him out of jail and lynched him to a nearby tree.
Couldn't imagine how he was feeling at that time, having something around his neck, being dragged out of a jail cell, and then to put the cherry on top when she revealed that he was actually 15 years old. I was I was shocked, and I couldn't imagine, and not having a familiar face to look at while he was being hung was just like I couldn't imagine the pain that he was going through.
What we are hoping for is not only to bring this to the public attention, but to help people understand how it continues to influence us, why it's important to address. You know, Brian Stephen talks a lot about truth and reconciliation, and he says that truth and reconciliation are sequential. You can't have reconciliation until you know the truth. So we feel it is our job to try and make sure that people know the truth, acknowledge it, even though it's very difficult.
When I saw the documentary, I just realized how far our juvenile justice system has come, because now juveniles are rewarded with the 14th Amendment. Not really rewarded, but we now are granted the 14th Amendment. And back then, he was not at all. He was 15, and if this happened now, he wouldn't even have been waived to the adult court. And so for him to be sentenced to death alone, without the lynching part, but for him just to be sentenced to death is very cool and unusual. And then for justice to be taken into the people's hands, there's a reason that the criminal justice system is in place. And so for them to just take it into their own hands was extremely unfair.
Miss St. Pierre's juvenile justice class began a project that explores cases where juveniles were lynched, starting with Howard Cooper.
Why is it important that this is not a single story? When I was provided with the connection to Miss Liles, the public historian, we started going back and forth in an email chain about what had happened to Howard Cooper. And we started talking about, well, why would this be important for kids to know? And then what could kids do as a result of this? And because I believe so much, especially in middle school, sometimes students' voices are overlooked because they can't vote yet. But they have a powerful voice for change. They believe the change is still possible, and that's what's powerful.
These middle school students are working on a presentation to share with other American history classes, while other students are working on different ideas that will go in the memorial, and they are writing a letter to a legislator to see if they can get his conviction exonerated.
I think it's helpful for other people to see how inhumane that our culture has been.
And I think it's really important that we dig deeper and that we really see how unjust society was back centuries ago and how it relates today. Back then it was lynching, now it's police brutality. Everything really connects, and it's important to learn from the mistakes from the past and to connect them to today.